Hey everyone, thanks for checking out another video. My name is Justin, and today I'm going to be talking about the theory behind triads. So not so much really a video of me playing, but more just a lesson on a deep dive behind what's going on with triads so that you can better understand them. Before we get started with that though, if you don't know about intervals, I highly recommend you checking out my intervals video where I go into detail about what they are and how to find them and a really practical way of finding them on the neck. To understand triads better, it really will help if you know your intervals. So I've broken this down into several steps. The first step is getting your major scale. So in this lesson, we're going to be in the key of C major. So if you do your whole step, half, whole, half step, starting on C, you would get the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, and B, back to C. So you can add a numerical value to every note in your scale. So starting with the root, that would make C the 1, D would be the 2nd, E would be the 3rd, F would be the 4th, G would be the 5th, A would be the 6th, and B would be the 7th. And then you're back to C, back to your root, the 1. So now getting into the triad side of this, all a triad is simply is just a chord that's the 1, the 3, and the 5. So if you start with C, all right, we have C as our 1, D was our 2, then we play E, that's our 3, and then F was 4, and then G was 5. So our C triad would be C, E, and G. Now, you can do this to every note in your scale, or every note, another way of saying that is every note is its own starting place of its own 1, 3, 5. Right, it's its own triad. So D, its own 1, 3, 5 would be D, you're counting it as its 1. So E would be its 2, F would be its 3, right, D, E, F, G is the 4, and then A is the 5. Right, so every single note can be its starting point of its own 1, 3, 5. So let's go through the whole scale with this. So C was C, E, G, right? D, we figured out D, F, A. Okay, so now we're going to go to E. E was a 1, its own 1. So F would be 2, G would be 3. So E, G. A would be 4, and B would be 5. So E, G, B. Go to F. F is its own 1, it's an F. And then G is the 2, A is the 3, so it's F, A, right? Whoops, B is the 4, so C would be the 5, so F would be F, A, C. So our next one is G, G would be 1, and then its 3 would be B, and then its 5 would be D, G, B, D. The next one is A, so you'd have A, its 3 is C, and its 5 is E, so you had A, C, E, and then the last one is B, so B would be its 1, D would be its 3, and F would be its 5. So it's really important to memorize these the notes that make up these triads. So C, E, G, D, F, A, E, G, B, F, A, C, G, B, D, A, C, E, B, D, F. Because every single triad out there is going to be formed of one of these sets of letters. So for example, like let's take C, right? So if we have a C major, or we had a C triad, right? That was C, E, and G, okay? Every C chord out there is going to be some form of the letters C, E, and G. You might have sharps or flats in there, like a C, E flat, G, or a C sharp, E, G sharp, right? You might have different sharps and flats going on, but all the letters are going to be the same. And that's the same case for all of them. D was D, F, A, so all D chords are going to be some form of D, F, and A. You might have a D, F sharp, A, D, F sharp, A sharp, D, F, A flat, right? So you'll have these different accidentals going in to alter it, but ultimately these letters are always going to be the same. So it's really important to memorize. It's C, E, G, D, F, A, E, G, B, F, A, C, G, B, D, A, C, E, and B, D, F. So the next step is figuring out the quality of these triads. In any major key, you're either going to have a major triad, a minor triad, or a diminished triad. Okay, and the way that you get these triads is by figuring out the notes, or finding the notes, and then figuring out what intervals make them up. So you're only going to need to know a few intervals to figure out a triad. You're going to need to know your major third, your minor third, your perfect fifth, and your flat five. You need to know those 4 intervals in order to construct one of these 3 triads. So starting with your root, to find a major third, you're going to stay on the same string. You're going to go up 4 frets. So C is our root. So you have C sharp, D, D sharp, E. So C to E is a major third. A minor third is going to be 3 frets. So it would just be C, C sharp, D, E flat. Now I'm saying it's E flat instead of D sharp because it has to work with the letters. If you say a D sharp, that implies like an augmented second because C to D is a second, D is the second. So it has to be a type of E to be the third. So instead of D sharp, it would have to be E flat to be the minor third. But anyway, the minor third is 3 frets. So a major third is 4 frets, minor third is 3 frets. Now to find your fifth, that's going to be on our next string. Our perfect fifth is just your power chord. Just 2 frets over, 1 string down. So that's C, C, G. That's your perfect 5. Your flat 5 is just going to be your ring finger flat 1 fret. And again, it's a flat 5, so it's got to be a G flat. It can't be an F sharp. An F sharp implies like a sharp 4 rather than a flat 5. And it has to be a type of 5 because our triads are 1, 3, and 5. But the shape on the guitar is just your power chord, ring finger flat 1. So our major triad is going to be a root, a major third, and a perfect fifth. All right, so you have a 1, 3, 5, or 1 major third, perfect fifth. Our minor triad is going to be a root, our minor third, and a perfect fifth. So 1 flat 3, or minor 3, 5. So our major was 1 major third 5. Our minor chord was 1 flat 3, 5. And then the other one is diminished, which doesn't happen as much, but it's going to be a 1 minor third and the flat 5. So 1 flat 3, flat 5 is your diminished chord. So again, major triad, 1, 3, 5. Minor triad, 1 flat 3, 5. Diminished triad, 1 flat 3, flat 5. So now let's go through all the triads in our key and figure out what thirds and what fifths we have going on and piece together what triads make up the key. So we're going to start with C. Okay, so we had C. So our third, remember it's C, E, G. So our third is E. Our third is going to be on the same string. So you count up to E. So C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. So that's 4 frets. Okay, so that's a major third. And then what I usually tell my students is to just play a power chord because 6 of the 7 triads are going to be a perfect fifth. So you just play a power chord and then count up and see if it works. So we need G, right? We had C, E, G makes our C triad. So we need to see if this note is G. And so you have D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G. It lines up. 6 out of 7, it's going to line up. So we had a 1, major third, perfect fifth. That's a major triad. So in the key of C, we have a C major triad. So let's go on to the next one. So we had D. All right. Our 1, 3, 5 was D, F, A. So now we're going to find our third. It's going to be on the same string. So D, D sharp, E, F. So that was only 3 frets. So that's going to be a minor third. Okay. So D to F is a minor third. And then again, play your power chord and it's most likely going to line up. But let's just check it anyway. So it's D, F, A is what we're looking for. So D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. So it lines up. So D, F, A. So that was a 1 minor third, perfect fifth. So that's a minor triad. So in the key of C, our D chord is a minor triad. So let's keep going. Our next is E. So we're going to start on E. All right, our 1, 3, 5 was E, G, B. So we need to find G. So it's going to be on our same string. So E, F, F sharp, G. Okay, so that's a minor or a minor third. And then you play your power chord. Okay, and we're looking for a B. So D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B. All right, so we have an E, G, B, a 1 minor third, perfect fifth. So that's a minor triad. So far we had a major, C major, we had D minor, E minor. All right, now let's go to F. So I'm going to go down here on my E string now. So here's F. We need F, A, C. All right, so we need A, so it's going to be on the same string. So F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. So now we moved 4 frets, so that's a major third. So F to A is a major third, and now we need our perfect fifth. So F, A, or we need our fifth, so we need F, A, C. So you play your power chord and see if it lines up with that perfect fifth. So A sharp, B, C. It does. Like I said, most of the time your power chord is going to be the right fifth. So we had F, A, C, or a 1 major third, perfect fifth. So this is a F major triad. So now we're going to move on to G. So we had G. Our 1, 3, 5 was G, B, D. So we need to find B. And again, our third is going to be on the same string. So G, G sharp, A sharp, B. Okay, so that's 4 frets. So it's a major third. Okay, our perfect fifth, or our 5 is a D. So we need to play our power chord and see if it lines up. A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D. It does. So we have a 1 major third, perfect fifth. So it's a G major triad. So again, to review, we had a C major, a D minor, an E minor, an F major, a G major. Okay, we only have 2 more. So we have A as our next one. So we have A. Our 1, 3, 5 was A, C, E. So we need to find C on the same string. So A sharp, B, C. Okay, so that was only 3 frets. That's a minor third. And now we need our 5. So A, C, E. We're looking for E. Okay, so let's count up our string. So A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. So that's our perfect fifth. So we have a 1 minor third, perfect fifth. Our A triad is an A minor in the key of C. And then the last one is going to be B. So here's our root. We need to find B, D, F. That's our 1, 3, 5 for B is B, D, F. So we have B, C, C sharp, D. Okay, and now we play our power chord. Now we need an F. So see if this lines up. D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp. So it didn't line up. We don't have a sharp in our key of C, right? There was no sharps or flats. It was just all the natural letters. So it can't be an F sharp. It has to be an F. So our F was right here. It was our 3rd fret. So this is that flat 5. It's our power chord with our ring finger flat 1 fret. Or flat 5 or diminished 5. So it would be a 1 minor third, flat 5. That would make B our diminished triad. And then we get back to C, C, E, G, back to C major. So in total, we had a C major, we had D minor, we had E minor, we had F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and then back to C. One quick shortcut that's really going to help you figure out the triads in any key is this. In any major key, you can reduce all of this to 2 steps if you want to get your triads quick without doing all of this work. I recommend doing this work, and I recommend understanding this, because the more you understand this, the more musical you're going to be able to be with all of this. But if you want the quick answer right away, there's 2 steps to figuring out the triads in any key. Step 1 is get your major scale, okay? So we'll still stay with C. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, okay? Now step 2 is the 1, the 4, and the 5 are always going to be major. Now this is for major keys. If you're in minor keys, it's going to be different. But for major keys, the 1, 4, and 5 are always going to be major. So that was C major, C, D, E, F. That's our 4. 4 was major. And then 5 is G. G was major, right? So C, F, and G, those are our majors. So 1, 4, and 5. Our minors are always going to be 2, 3, and 6. So 2 was D. So that was D minor. Our 3 was E, so that's E minor. And then our 6 was A, that's A minor. Right? So again, in any major key, 1, 4, and 5 is going to be major triads, 2, 3, and 6 is going to be minor triads, and 7 is always going to be the diminished one. I do recommend understanding all of the steps that I talked about earlier in the video so that you can piece together any triad and any key and know what's going on. But if you want the triads quick, this is a really helpful quick shortcut. But alright, that's the theory behind triads, guys. I know that that's a lot of information and not a whole lot to do with that, right? It's just kind of a lot of theory talk right now. I do have other videos on how to find them and different ways to play them and all that. But I just wanted to get like one lesson out there where I really just kind of do a deep dive of what's going on, how to build them, how to construct them, and to get all your triads in a key. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. I'll be more than happy to answer. And I'll see you guys next time.